Welcome
Cool.
to the Grind Design Podcast, and I'm here with my co-host Mandi Henriot, and today we welcome to the show somebody I consider a friend, somebody who's an expert in the real estate business, and also a very savvy investor. Welcome, Justin Udy. How are you, man?
Good, man. Love being here. So thankful for our relationship. I've known you a long time, and good dude.
Well,
You know.
yeah, I'll appreciate that. I will send you a check for that nice comment. So, for those that don't know you out there, because this podcast it's not just mortgage and real estate. It's, as the name suggests, we're always talking to people who have went through the grind and are building things, have built things, maybe failed along the way. And so it could be in a lot of different arenas. And so for those that don't know you, give us an introduction of who you are, so that way they have a good baseline as we move forward.
Yeah. So Justin Udy, I've been in the business for 20 plus years. I graduated from the University of Utah. I legitimately was on my way to my last test. My one buddy from high school called me and said, "Hey, you want to get into this business?" He's like, "I'm doing loans." He's like, "I know that you're working at American Express. You're looking for a job because they did a tuition reimbursement program." And he's like, "You're hitting your last test." He's like, "Why don't you can make nothing or you can make as much as you want." And so legitimately 2 weeks later, I was doing loans. And basically, rather than buying cars and all this other stuff, I was buying properties, flipping them. And after a couple years, my agent was like, "I'm probably shooting myself in the foot here." He said, "But you get the sticks and bricks, you get the lending." He's like, "You should just be an agent, you know?" And I think I'd referred him like 15 different people that year. You know what I mean? And long story short, I started doing real estate. There was Dave Stocco and I, if you remember Dave, were rookies of the year that year, our first year, and just have been pretty consistent. But I was so used to being on the phone, it was very natural to me. And just my goal has been to continue to have a high sales producing business and then have a high investing business, right? So that I could essentially complement the other. And then I did go back to school and got a master's in real estate development back in 2020. And then that just raised my level of awareness of some different options. And since then, I bought commercial property, I have developments underway. And again, it was just, we're always just leveling up over time.
That's actually fascinating, Justin, because anyone who knows what was going on in the real estate market during 2020, the fact that you would have thought, I've got some spare time on my hands, maybe I'll go work on a degree.
Yeah.
Let me just throw some
right?
some dollars and some time and get a graduate degree.
Why not?
Yeah. No, it's funny. I went to my team, and this is what I really love about my team, is I went to the team and I said, "You guys, I'm thinking about doing this thing," right? And I was really hesitant because I had thought about it actually for a couple different days. Like, how do I kind of tell them that, like, I'm going to be unavailable doing these things? I can't answer their questions. I can't assist them. I can't, right? And it was so funny that when I went to them, and I think at the time, and I'm just trying to think, again, we were selling, we're selling over 100 a year. I think that those years, I think we were selling just under 200. And anyway, long story short is I went to them and I'm like, "Look, I'm thinking about doing this." Like, and it was funny how they received it. Like, "Well, yeah, of course you should." It wasn't even like a question, because they're like, "No, like we're always growing." Like they went back to our core values of like, "No, like this is what you need to do." And then, they were like, "No, you're going to be more valuable to us. No, this will help us. Like it was really interesting." And so I was super thankful that at the time the team was so like great, because, leaving the office at 1 or 1:30 or 2 to get up to campus to sit in a class until 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night, and all your weekends gone, doing special projects, because it's a true master's degree. Like, you're freaking busy. It was awesome. And so, sometimes I look back and I'm like, man, I could have made so much money during that rush, right? But then I'm thinking like, man, I became so much of a better person and more knowledgeable And like, I just was able to reach more people, know more people. And I did things that I never would have done had I waited, right? Because
Yeah.
it's just, sometimes I think you just have to listen to your conscience. You have to listen to it's like, no, if you have something that you should do, like, do it. Like, if you push it away long enough, that feeling will stop. And I've learned that. So it's like, listen to yourself and quit talking to yourself and listen to yourself and do it, because it's just something inside is you saying you need to level up. This is your test. Like, are you going to grow today? You know, and I think that happens a lot. And I used to ignore it, and I've learned I got to listen to myself.
It's interesting. It's actually fascinating how many times as humans we talk ourselves out of things.
Yeah. And it would have been easy to do in that era, right? Because you're right. It was a period of time where in real estate, if you were in real estate, you were printing money, right? Like, it was crazy. It's such an amazing statement about your team, that in that moment, your culture was such that was their response. That's actually phenomenal.
No, it was like, I was like super proud. Like, I remember, like, I wasn't like teary-eyed, but I was like touched. Like, I was like, man, I was really proud. Like, I'm proud of them. And then also that it's like, no, like, I think it's because I was so nervous that I was like, the fact that they want me to be a better person and pursue what I feel is important to me, as opposed to, they could have been the opposite. Like, no, like, we really want you here. They could have been the other way, like very selfish almost, right? Like, no, we want you here. We need your help. We need you in the
Right.
office, and anyway, so it was great.
And
It
that would
was
have been a rational response. Like, that would not have been a shocking response, knowing what was going on. Do you, like, looking back, do you think there's anything that you did within your team as you were building, as you were growing, that created a culture like that?
I do feel like even today, like, we sat down and we talked for 45 minutes, and I just went through, like, here's kind of the 5 steps that I'd recommend you guys do to build wealth. Here's where I made mistakes. Here's where I was really well. And here's the things that, like, I would have probably done different. And at the end of that, they're like, man, this was the best team meeting we've had in a couple months. And I think what I've always talked about is, so one of our core values is we have a growth mindset. And that isn't just building yourself, but it's building yourself so strong so that you can serve others. Like, why just build yourself to serve yourself when it's like, no, like, we're built. And that's what I said. I said, you need to put this pressure on yourself. And right now it was a bunch of guys. So I'm like, you guys, I'm like, you got to put pressure on yourself, because if you don't put pressure on yourself, you will never level up. And I said, and if you never level up, you'll never make more income. And I said, but the thing is, we talk a lot about income because we're here in business. And I said, but it's not about leveling up. You will be a more valuable asset. So you will naturally make more money. But I go, why make more money? I said, it's because now that you've become a different asset, now you can serve others. Like, now you can help in a different way, because you've gone through the things that frankly a lot of people just aren't willing to do, because you felt a calling, felt a need in order to do something hard. And when you do something hard, you can essentially serve them and help them and lead them because you've been through it. And I think that's so true, because I felt that, like, I'm like, man, I was like, why would I go back for this? And it's like, I can't tell you how many times I've been able to sit with somebody since then and say, I don't think this is a good idea for you to sell this.
Yeah.
I think you could probably do this, and this is what the kids could do with it in the future. And they're like, oh my gosh, and it's like, we earned nothing, but we gained everything, because it's like, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing in full integrity, helping and serving them. And over time, you become that trusted advisor, because you're truly you became someone who can actually serve them. So I think that's what I just said to the team. I was just like, look, you got to be the most valuable asset, build the most valuable asset, so you can give that person away, because
It's interesting, because when we talk to veterans in business, that seems to be where the joy comes.
Oh, totally. 100%, 1,000%.
I just one thing you said that I think it's probably good to pause on is, you gave your team permission to make money for the reasons that making money is good, so that we can go out and do something positive with it. And I think in business, a lot of times, I know at least in real estate, sometimes the biggest roadblock is the fact of, well, what is that going to, I don't want to come across as salesy, and, all they think is we're like used car salesmen, et cetera, when the reality is we're out there providing a service that is unmatched when we do it at a high level. And making money is, to your point, Justin, we're a business. That is, the whole goal of a business is to make a profit. So unapologetically, I think that's
Right.
awesome that you gave your team, not in a systematic way, just by your words and the way you probably described them, that it's okay, go out there, be bosses, make money for the good that money can do for you.
Totally. It's like if your intent is just to make money so that you can serve yourself, yeah, you'll be happy for a little bit, but then you're going to feel empty, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
If you make money and you're able to, like, again, it's the person you became to earn that money, though. That's the key, right?
Yep.
It's like if I gave you 10 million bucks and you're not a valuable asset to yourself, like that's kind of like the lottery winners that are like, they just
Yeah.
lose it, right?
Yeah.
Like they haven't gone through the pain and the things that maybe would take to attain that level of wealth to be a steward of it,
Yeah.
you know?
So it's interesting because that's what you're saying, right? Like, 'cause you are no longer the same person. You went back to school. You were plenty successful before. You didn't need to make that move. But every time you level up, you become a different person, meaning, and then at that point you have more to give to those around you.
Yeah. Yeah, it was funny even at school because there would be different folks that would teach, or some of the professors, like, and stuff. They're like, "Oh, Justin Udy, like, I know you," and they're like, "Why are you here?" You
Yeah.
know? And that's kind of when you're sitting in a class, you're like, "Oh, you know," it's almost like embarrassing, you know, and you're just like, "No, like this is the next level," you know. It's like, "No, I need to improve myself," and I could have taken online classes and done something, but I just knew if I didn't put myself in that physical environment, like full on just involvement, I just would never, again, I'd get on my phone, I'd start answering emails, you know what I mean? I just wouldn't be fully immersed. And it was interesting just to see where people would ask you. And at the end of the day, I'll always just go back to it. You know, I think the biggest challenge we run into as people is like, we're always torn with the decisions we're going to make. But it's just like when something's eating at you, like I've been thinking about it, it's kind of like, no, if it's speaking to you, like literally, if God's speaking to you, because it's like, that's how you feel. It's like, you just need to do it. You know what I mean? Because when you do it, it's something inside of you saying, here's a moment you can improve. Like, you can improve yourself. You can be better. And when you improve and you're better, now you're just more valuable because you're doing things that are moving along this progression that you naturally feel like you should take, you know? But I remember that when I was doing it with the team, like, and I wanted to grow the team, I was like, no, we got to get bigger. There was times when I said, this doesn't feel good to me. Like, and I changed the team. So we cut marketing, we cut agents, we cut things, but it was like, it felt more natural. And at the end of the day, it ended up being more lucrative and profitable and income producing than when we had a big team, you know?
Interesting.
It's because we could serve others better.
What's the largest your team's ever been?
The largest we had is, for a short bit, we had 15 sales agents, and it was for like a minute, right? And it was, and then again, this is not their fault. This is my fault, because I would put them on my schedule, you know, like, you got to get up early, you got to work out, you got to make a minimum of 20 minimum contacts a day. Like, it's mindset, skill set, habits, and discipline. That is the mantra, right?
Yeah.
We did, again, during those times, it's like you have a lot of people coming on, and frankly, it's like, I shouldn't have expected somebody to run a marathon, you know, when they hadn't even ran a 5K. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's, again, that is not their fault. That is me. I mean, I remember people lasting like 3 days, you know, or the people that are like, I'm gonna go to lunch, and they're like, never come back. You know what I mean?
That happens.
Too intense. I love
Right.
that, because it takes a lot to hit the stage where you're like, I mean, the running joke in our office is like, I am the problem, I am the solution, right? I am constantly learning that hard lesson about, just because my brain works this way doesn't mean that this is what lights somebody else up. It's the way they work, right? And that's hard.
It's hard. And so that was the most we had. I think the most, I mean, again, and again, we weren't even seeing the fruits of those. I mean, when I was in the growth phase, I remember like the most I ever personally did is I did 97 transactions on my own. And then the rest of the team, it was a total of 150 with us combined. So I did 97, they did something like whatever it was, 63 or 53 or whatever. And then it was just a little too much. And then again, we went from like 150 to like 175 to 200 to over 200. And that's when we started being like the wheels started falling off a little bit. And then we kind of reduced and then we changed. And so anyway, the way we're set up now is I have like a full-time listing partner. I have two full-time agents. I have three staff members. And like my goal is to just truly is like lead, motivate, keep people accountable, work on big deals, right? And there's some like things that I obviously get a little bit more involved in, which I should. That's the one thing is from a team leader standpoint, like I think we get touted a lot of like, you got to step out of production and like you got to be 100% hands off. And I think from a business standpoint, like, yes, you exit, you sell the company, you're out, right? Like
Yeah.
that's the domino effect. But I've also learned that at least that I feel like is the best companies that have kept kind of their flavor and their who they were is the founder and the people were still involved with the kind of the pieces and parts where it was important. And so, if there's an appointment that I need to go on, I I I feel like I should go on that with the agent, right? If there's a listing or a buyer, I just remember a long time ago there was an agent, big agent at the time, and somebody called in while I was talking to him, and he was like, they're like, "Hey, I'm trying to find a condo, or something," and he said something to the effect of like, he was diplomatic on the phone, but basically when he hung up, he's like, I'm not wasting my time on condos. You know what I mean? And I was like, I don't know why it rubbed me so wrong. And I thought, maybe it isn't the highest and best use of my time to go on this condo, right?
Right.
But is it worth me meeting them, consulting them, going over it, connecting with a team member so that they know the next steps, so that one, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing is serving them. And then two, giving them the tools and resources to move forward, whether it be with me or somebody else, that felt and feels right to me. So being involved at a certain level, I probably am more involved than many other team leaders would agree with. But to me, it feels right. So you
I
do
have
what you
such
like.
huge respect for that because that's
Yeah.
really easy as you get busier, right? To start going, okay, well, that's not a high enough value for my time. That's a really easy thing to do because you only have so many hours, right? But the impact and culture that you create by being the person who still shows up for that is amazing.
Well, and I think that we've all learned that like it's like even in that 20, like it can start feeling very transactional, right?
Mhm.
Because it's like I didn't call them every week and I didn't really have time. And now here we are at the closing table. And I remember when I did those 97 deals, and this again, this is truly like my gut told me this. I remember going to a closing and I went to the closing and I went to the title guy and I looked at him and I'm like, which one is my client? I didn't even know who it was.
Which is the worst, right? The
Freaking
worst.
embarrassed. And again, like everybody's like, well, yeah, you met him 6 months ago, and then your staff helps with the staging and the staging consultations and the paperwork and the seller's disclosures, and there's this 3, 4, 5 month period. Yeah, you hear their voice and you recognize it.
Yeah.
Legit, you met them for 1 hour, you never saw them again. You know what I mean?
Right. You
And
probably remember their story, right? If
yeah,
somebody
and you're
said,
like,
oh, this is
know
the couple
them
that had this or that, you've got that.
totally,
Yeah.
but you're like, which ones are they? Like if we're in a crowd, I would have never even know who the freak they were,
Yeah.
And that felt really bad to me. And so I was like, okay, that does not make sense to me, right? That is a transactional business, not a relational business. And so again, I think we're always toiling with that as team leaders, right? Like,
Yeah.
how do I balance making sure my team and my people and everybody works with, like, they're they're the high up vibrancy, they're feeling great, they're making income, but at the same time having a quality of life, but still doing a high volume. And at the end of the day, whatever got us here was due to our relationships, not due to how many transactions,
Absolutely.
right? So I don't know.
When you were talking about the, when you started to scale and your team was getting bigger, 15 plus agents. But what I took from that was that, yeah, your transaction count went up, but it wasn't clean. It wasn't as functional. It wasn't as efficient. And I think as business owners, I mean, how many times have we come across that either with people we consult or stories we've read? And knowing that bigger sometimes isn't always better. If you had to go redo that same scenario with the growth focus you had at the time, what would you have done differently to ensure a more efficient process to get to that 220 or whatever that number was?
Yeah, I've thought about that a lot, actually. So I would have taken my best people that were burning out like I was, because shortly after that, my listing partner, who had now, with the 15 people, had done 92 deals. So now we're doing 200 plus, obviously. She got burned out.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like out. But when you're burned out, like, you're like, I'm done. Like, I don't even want to sell real estate ever again. You know what I mean? I have no life. I have, my health, my fitness, my mindset. Like, it's just, people don't understand. Like, when you have 8 to 10 deals under contract, that's 90 problems occurring on those things.
Absolutely.
Right? And, but what I would have done is I would have taken my key people that I knew were getting burned out, and I would have moved them into leadership positions earlier, with me telling them, this is your next step. I thought I had to wait for them to be ready. Right. That was me. I won't do it until I'm like, I need to do that. Right. But I needed to set the tone of, you are doing so amazing. You're doing high volume. This is your next step. You are a sales manager. Your highest and best use. You want to do some extra deals? Keep doing them. But this is your next level, right? And then do that down the line. Level the other people up that were still fantastic. My listing partner now was here during the time, right? He could have leveled up at that time, and it would have been a year or two earlier, and it would have made a completely difference in him being able to have other people. And so, one, we would have had more information, education of in the trenches work on the team that would have been disseminated. It would have given other people more opportunities, and the systems and the processes probably wouldn't have changed, and I wouldn't have brought on new people. I would have elevated the old people to train the rest, right? Because that's where, as a team leader, you kind of sometimes you don't have the time to properly, truly spend the time with them. And we're honestly more lean than we should be. And it's probably because I'm enjoying the projects probably more than I should. But what I will say is having a lean and mean team has been very fun for me. And when we had the 15 people, it wasn't fun. And so I do believe there's a better way to keep your people, keep your core values, grow it, but then help them know when they should level up, because there's probably something in you that knows it's time for that person, right?
And
like,
it might be the push they need.
Great. Keep going, keep selling, keep doing it. No. Yeah. You're to the point now where you've now become from experienced to mastery. Mm-hmm. And when you have mastery, it's now your turn to serve the other people and now help them level up, and still make amazing money too yourself, right? You're not giving anything away. You're actually, improving yourself. And then it gives them what, essentially they've been looking for. They get more leadership opportunities. They get more contacts. They have the opportunity to maybe spend more time with you to think about different things, whether it be wealth building strategies, how to just improve in different ways. When you're just focused in real estate, you grow in a different way than when you're dealing with other people, right?
Yeah, I love that.
reminds me of, there's a phrase out there that, leadership is about teaching other people how to think. And whether that's, to think deeper on real estate or investments or, future possibilities. But, I think sometimes that definition as a leader sometimes gets missed in our ability to connect with people.
Absolutely.
So as we're wrapping up here, we always like to finish off with a couple of softball questions. You'll like these. But before I get to that, knowing you the way I know you, you are very systematic, very disciplined. Would that be fair to say?
I'm disciplined. Yes, I am very disciplined, but I want everybody to know that like naturally I'm not. Like naturally I'm like sticky notes everywhere, throw it against the wall, like no lists. It's the opposite. Like it's a learned behavior, right?
Interesting.
So if I can do it, anybody can do it, right?
So, okay. So that being said, you referenced earlier about just, as you were leading your team, the power of the morning. Tell us I know how you win it because I've seen it. We've talked about it, but how do you win your mornings so that your day is one?
So this is and I don't want to, like, when people listen, like, oh my gosh, like, just know, like, it's over time you build it, right? And it just becomes natural to you. So 4:45 wake up every morning. It's for me to personally get my head straight. Just so you know, when I get up, I just am thinking about all the heaviness that everybody feels at 7 or 8 or 9. The only difference is it's a little bit earlier and it's a little bit darker, right? I'm able to get up. I'm able to go through and look at like, where am I headed? Just look at my top level goals, right? Just have it kind of in my closet next to my workout clothes. Like, where am I going? Where am I headed? What is the trajectory for today? Like, why am I doing this? Why am I even getting up? Then I get ready. I make sure I read, like, I'll try to just, and again, it's not reading all morning. I recommend reading 10 pages a day. I think it's very important to read a book a month. Or if you're doing book on tape or whatever, but there's something about physically reading for me personally. But I just want to get a quote, something that I can just keep with me for the day, right? Like the one, and if you follow me on Instagram, you typically see the one quote that I have for that day, right? Where I'm like, ooh, I like this one. You know what I mean? And then I go to the gym. I have a workout that I essentially I do push pull legs. Sometimes I'll take Sundays off. Sometimes I won't, right? But every single day doing the same exact thing. And then I like to take my boy to school because he's still in middle school. My daughter's in high school now, so I don't take her to school because she drives. And I like having that morning and then come into the office. And my whole point, and again, is mindset, skill set, discipline, right? If I can get my mind right, know where I'm headed, feel physically proud and like how I feel about myself, I just deliver in such a different way. I will tell you, every workout I have, I always am like, you're now operating at a different, higher frequency. And there's always something that comes to my mind, like, ooh, you need to call whoever. Oh, you know what? You forgot to call this person. You know what? There's this one thing you forgot to do. And so I'm always like keeping my phone on me. And I'm like, ooh, I got to hurry and write that down. And so it just finds it like there was a deal that I wrote up on Friday. It was 12 million bucks. And it came from the workout. Like, I'm like, you got to call and move this freaking thing forward, And it wasn't even like a negative thing. It was like, I just says, hey, and I shot him a message right then. I'm like, hey, let's connect about this. We know we've kind of been kicking it around. Are you guys available to talk? And they're like, hey, why don't you come over today? We went over that day, which was a Thursday. Then we wrote it up on Friday and then sent out the letter of intent, So just know, like, for me, I believe that when you just can operate at a higher frequency, it invites better thoughts, it invites a better feeling, you feel better, and you just feel, and then you essentially just put you in a place to serve others. So if you're prospecting, you're operating differently, right? You're watching your meals a little bit different. You're watching, you've gotten good thoughts. So when people tell you to like eat it or go away or whatever, you're just like, no, they're just not ready for me, as opposed to, want to come after them, So this operation creates a day of success, and it's frankly if you can take care of those things that most people wait until to get done the rest of the day, it's like a long time ago, a mentor told me, he's like, if you can get done earlier in the day, if you can get the hard things done before noon, the rest of the day will take care of itself. I've learned over time, like that is a true thing, you know? So like us meeting, like this is just like joyful for me to be able to like speak about different things. I feel no stress that I have this and this and this thing to do. Cause it's like, I've gotten 90% of everything I need to do done. And yeah, there's a couple hours of work, but it's like, if I miss it, I'm going to be okay. You know what I mean?
Nothing will break.
Love it.
Nothing will break, you know? So, but I mean, you follow just, I mean, similar schedule, you know, like you see the power in it, you know?
Yeah, I get it. And I think that, I think as entrepreneurs, I think sometimes the thing that we let go the quickest and most often is ourselves, whether that be our physical or our mental, right? You talk about, mindset, skill set. I think oftentimes that is ignored.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Well, go ahead.
Because it's easy to get sucked into all the things on the task list, right? And the reality is mentally, you can only really be plugged in intentionally for so many hours at a time.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to just get trapped in this, like, so many hours straight work. It's not even productive, right?
Totally.
But if you can go do the other things and hold the stones for the big stuff that you want to do, that makes you happy, that lights up your life, the work will get done in between.
No, absolutely. We always have these ebbs and flows, right? Like, and so it's just like, it just helps you keep a little bit more maintenance of just like productivity and growth. You know, it's funny because there's a couple guys that I just kind of coach on a one's just like mindset, habits, and training. Literally, I just say, hey, I want you to get up early. I want you to read. I want you to do these workouts. Let me dial in some macros for you so that you can get your diet in line and just find a business where you can just dominate and do it every day. And like the one dude's like last 30 days lost 10 pounds, doing all these things and doing different cells and things. And it's just productivity. It's just a quick check-in, right? It's just accountability. And the fact that you have any type of accountability, I think, is important. So you've got to keep somebody that you're accountable to. It can be a friend, a family, a check-in, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
But then another guy that's a fully, like, legit my peer that's said, hey, I know of one person that's going to keep me accountable. It's you, because you do it every day, right? And like even today, just going through a few of the basics of just a general schedule. He has all these wins because he's changed. Again, he's doing what he knows to be doing. I'm just keeping him accountable, right? And I am introducing small little tidbits where I was like, dude, I didn't think about that, right? Like, which is your job because you've grown to hopefully be that person. But he said one thing to me at the very end, and he had just left. That's obviously what's fresh in my mind. But he just said, the thing is, he goes, I do feel really good. He's like, I can feel myself operating at a different level, and it gives you more gumption, and it allows you to listen to yourself, and it's essentially to be a better person because you don't get so upset. You don't have the ups and downs, which we all will have. That's why you do those things, to help prepare yourself for those moments. And frankly, it's like, it's just a level up, So I guess I'm just saying, like, when people hear like, oh my gosh, you have a schedule, it's like, it's so intentional and forced. Like, I legit every morning, I will tell you, if you have a hard time getting up, just get your feet on the ground. That's what I tell myself every day. I'm like, just put your feet on the ground, just put your feet on the ground. And as soon as I do that, I'm okay. But every morning, I do not want to get up. Every morning, I don't want to go work out. Every morning, I don't want to freaking read. But it's like the moment when I just kind of do a couple of those things, by the time I get to the gym and by the time I do it, like 15, 20 minutes into the workout, I'm like, man, I'm so glad I'm here, and then you just feel different, So I just recommend if anybody's not doing anything, at a minimum, just wake up an hour earlier.
I love that, because I think so many people just believe that there's certain people who are wired to love and want to bounce out of bed. And what you're saying is just do it anyway. None of us want to do it. Just do it anyway.
It's always hard.
Right? Because you don't regret it once you do.
Dude.
But I love, like, for you to say, yeah, I don't want to get out of bed. My alarm goes off and there's nothing about that moment that lights me up and makes me want to jump out of bed.
people are like, oh, you get up at X time. Yeah, it's because I have to go to bed. I choose to go to bed early the night before so that it's not as painful that next morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so true.
I love it.
So freaking true. I know. It's so funny.
No, that was,
Yeah. Anything else?
yeah. But I think we need to know, because you do read every day,
Yeah.
most transformative book that you've ever read, or what are you reading right now that you feel like other people could benefit from?
The book I'm kind of going back over right now is I'm going to butcher it. It's called like 10X by Dan Sullivan.
10X is greater than 10X is greater than 1X.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And that's just a great book for like, I need to just make sure I'm thinking in a direction of growth, right? So that's what I like about that, right? I will tell you the biggest transformational book. And I think it depends on the season of your life too, right? Depending on where you're
Absolutely.
at. That's very important. I love Unleash the Power Within by Tony Robbins. I think that's a very comprehensive book where you can get into some different things of like, why am I handling this? Why am I thinking that way? Like, how do I like just gain control of my direction? You know what I mean? I think one of the hardest things that I run into, and this is me like now in my head, I'm thinking like when I talk to like my kids, we have a young man that also lives with us. And just like when I'm speaking with them, the main thing that I'm always just thinking, like, I hope they got of me is like, you can go in any direction you want to go as long as you go in that direction.
Yeah.
It's like every plane I've ever been on, it's always going to have turbulence. It's always off the mark, but it's like, it's just knows the direction it's going and it's going to get through it. And I think that those books keep you in line, because it's like people will say things, events will happen that can be really debilitating in your life, and they can really take you off your mark. Whereas when you're in line with kind of your purpose of like, no, this is where I'm going, it can kind of ebb you back, and help you, because it's like you've prepared yourself with kind of some resources to help you get in the right direction. And frankly, when you have in that direction, all these other things start coming your way, and it starts like, paving the way for you. I think there's some really great podcasts out there that I think I would always recommend. Anything that's motivational, anything that's personal development, I would say search and find. I kind of like some of the Stoic philosophies also. That just kind of helps me sometimes, when not all the time, but just every once in a while. I think those are helpful. I'm not much of a fictional reader, but I wouldn't be opposed to it, as long as if I'm reading something like that, I do feel like you need to have something that is personal development based, at least in where you're running your own business. So when things come up, you can just go back to like, that little tidbit. You know what I mean?
Yep. Absolutely. I love that.
So we'll have links to a couple of those books that Justin mentioned. Justin, where can people find you? Where can they follow you?
Yeah, just if you guys would message me even on Instagram, just Justin Udy at Instagram is fantastic. Follow me there, whatever. I respond to frankly a lot of people on there. That's super easy. On my real estate stuff, I'll talk about the projects I'm working on, or I'm walking through them. I kind of try to keep a little bit of a diary like on there. My mom always will like it, so that's kind of nice, where I know she's listening in. Yeah, I mean, that's probably a good place. And if they message me there, I'm happy to respond. But I do think that life's hard, right? And it's just like you just got to keep going. And but if anybody ever is challenged and they're just like, dude, I don't like, seriously, like, reach out to me. I'm an open book. I will help you. The only thing I do expect from you is that you will listen, you will write it down, and you will implement. The worst thing that you ever feel like as a teacher or a mentor is when you're literally taking your life lessons and like handing it like a gift, and somebody will just sit there and listen. It's in one ear, out the other, and no action's taken. It actually just kind of makes you sad, So just implement, like do what you know you need to do.
Yeah.
Love it.
Love
Well,
that.
awesome. That is a wrap. Go follow Justin. Great follow. Great just hearing some insights on what you've done to create what you have and the people that you've got around you. Remarkable stuff. Thanks for joining us, man. We'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank you,
so
guys.
much.
See you, man.